Hey everybody, I want to talk about some thoughts that the Lord dropped in my mind about, are you ready? Your birthright, and how your birthrights today, globally and individually, actually relate to the birthright that was sold. We really need to think about these things. This is just a commentary, you guys. I'm not really doing any teaching. I just want you to think about this. There's schools of thought out there that Jacob was a liar, that Jacob supplanted and stole a birthright. You can't steal a birthright, duh. It has to be given. You can give your birthright. It can't not ever be stolen. And I want you to think about the type of soul that would actually give up their birthright. Give it away willingly, without any, without it being quote-unquote stolen. You can't steal a birthright. Look at the character of the individual who would do such a thing, who would sell their birthright. Consider the character. Let's play some imagination games, okay? Well, first of all, let's just look at what we've got on screen here. It says now Isaac in 25:21 of Genesis. 25 of 21 of Genesis. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Perk up, listen up. 2 nations are in your womb. 2 people shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." That's a prophecy right there. Those are prophetic statements. This is not as though it were something that no one knew. Figure this out. It was by nature intended to be this way of God's will. Now you can say what you want and believe you me. There are reports, coming out from, I'm just going to be honest about it. They are the fallen angels in our midst today. They claim to be aliens from foreign planets, and we all know that's just a bunch of muck for the modern day mankind to believe in something other than God. But these beings are no different than the ones talked about in ancient recordings all the way back all over this planet, okay? They're the same. They are not aliens from Saturn or Venus or wherever else they say, whatever star system they're from. That's a lie. That's the lie they want you to believe. However, you can tell what their true nature is when they begin to speak lies about this word. Well, there just so happens to be a fallen angel that's dealing with Americans' birthright right now, and would have you believe that giving up your birthright for a bowl of stew is a good thing. Although in this fallen angels, I don't know what you want to call it, venue, platform, whatever, we're supposed to consider our birthright as Americans to be special. But yet this fallen angel, who claims to be an alien, would have you believe that giving up your birthright is okay. So, look at the character. One who would give up their birthright for food. Duh. Really? Let's put this into perspective. First of all, if Jacob had not stepped up and taken what Esau was so willing to give away, doesn't it make sense that eventually at some point in time Esau would, because he disregarded his birthright and didn't care about it one little bit, he would have given it away to somebody else for something else? Let's play that thought out for a while. What if it wasn't Jacob? What if he ran across some, what would be considered, of our day Germans or Russians or Africans, and we're not talking the inner Africans, but the outer edge Africans, okay? If you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. If that happened, none of you, descendants of Jacob or Esau, would even exist today. If you think about it, your uncle, Jacob, saved both lineages. from disappearing off the face of the earth because one was so dumb and ignorant to his birthright and what that meant, that he would have sold you in a heartbeat. Okay? Now let's apply that for Americans. Americans were given this country by God himself. It is our birthright as Americans to own land, to own our own properties, to engage in international commerce with protection of our lawful persons, to be able to travel on the roads without being licensed to do so. These are all little inheritances, little birthrights that we have for being born on this land and soil, right? Now, as Americans, if you're familiar with the fallen angel, calls herself Anna von Wright. She claims to be a fallen angel, which she claims to actually be an alien from the star system, Sirius or whatever. It doesn't even matter. Let's start to apply what Esau did, because, of course, the fallen angel is going to tell you the truth to hook you, and then throw in the lies to make sure that when Jesus returns, he won't be coming for you. Okay? Let's apply this. Are you ready? Are you ready? You're an American. Your birthright was taken from you. It's been reclaimed, and you are owed credit. But your uncle, your father's brother, has decided, he's oldest in the family, he's decided that neither you or your father or your descendants or even his own descendants deserve any of the credit that's coming down. Right? Okay, ready? So your uncle decides to sell your entire family's interest in the credit that's owed you. I don't know, let's say he's a fan of the Chinese. He sells it to some China guy. And now you're left with nothing. You have nothing. You have absolutely no right whatsoever to your inheritance because your family member denied you your birthright because he decided upon himself it wasn't worth it. Apply that. Think about it. Is it right? Is it okay? Do we support giving up our birthright for a bowl of stew? So now your father steps in and tells his brother, no, you can't do that. You know what? I'm going to insure it in any way. Of course, in the Bible, it was a trade for a bowl of stew. Maybe today it would be something else to ensure that the family inheritance, our birthright, is not just given away to some foreign land. And now, not just your dad's descendants, you are in possession of your birthright and keeping it, but also preserved it for your dad's brother's generations as well, so that they still have something, right? And not leaving you with nothing. Think about that, because that is exactly what this fallen angel, claiming to be an alien from a foreign star system, is trying to convince you of. I'll tell you now, many are called, few are chosen. Those who are called will do just exactly as the Israelites out in the wilderness did when they went and checked out the land and heard the report that the giant, the Anakim are there. They're big and we're scared, so we don't want to go take our birthright. You can just keep it. Think about that. How many so-called believers in Christ catch wind of something that disturbs them in all of this and gives up everything for fear because, well, I don't agree with so-and-so, so I'm just not going to have anything to do with it. You are no better off than the Israelites that were out in the wilderness. You run scared when you see something big, too big, what you think is too big for you, because you have no faith in your Father in heaven. None. And you run around acting like you're all faithful, keeping all the laws and doing everything that's just right, but you run from the Anakim or the Anunnaki. You won't stand up to them. You may be called, but you know what you are not? You are not among the chosen. Because the chosen are Joshua. And they will say to all the rest, let's go get them. Let's run them out of our land. This is our inheritance. This is our birthright. And we're not just going to listen to your stupid little lies and fall back and tuck our tails between our legs and run back to Egypt where we came from, to Mitzrayim, misery. Go ahead. Because you were only called, but you were never chosen. The chosen do not act like that. The chosen express the character of our Father, of our God, which is full of faith, strong, knowing our inheritance, knowing the authority that we have. Now I call it on you. Which one are you? Are you the one that, look here on the screen. Are you the one that cooks the stew and saves your family's birthright by taking what Esau was going to give up anyway? Or are you the Esau that has absolutely no regard for your birthright, even what God gives, and you throw it away for nothing? Think about that. And we are dealing with not the descendants of the Anunnaki today. We're dealing with the actual Anunnaki. They have returned. The Watchers are back. And they are actively engaging in anything they can to fool those who claim to have faith in God and do His will, yet you cannot even see. For any of you for whom the Lord God brings this information and you reject it, that's on your own head. Because as the Israelites who rejected the land God was trying to give them were subject to never crossing over to obtain the land, so shall you never see the promise that you were given of the land as a citizen of heaven. Never. It's time that those who claim to have faith in the Lord actually learn to know Him. Figure it out. You're dealing with fallen angels and you have authority. It tells us in the book of Genesis that the Lord Yeshua, Jesus, will return with all of His saints behind Him. Guess what? Those are not the saints who ran from the Anunnaki when they learned who they were, but they stood up with courage, knowing the will of our Father, and they did not allow the Anunnaki or the Anakim to discourage them. They went forward in victory, and so shall we, the chosen, those who know our birthright, will not sell it for a bowl of soup or anything else. Here's another thing. How many of you actually can discern between a lie and a truth? When you're offended, you think it's a lie. If you're offended, if you are offended in any way, figure it out. You have a spirit of offense within you, because a spirit of offense within you allows you to be offended. If you cannot be offended, you have no spirit of offense within you. Figure it out. Are you offended? Were you offended when you heard someone say something against Jacob in favor of Esau? I was a little offended. Then I had to recognize it's not a matter of being offended. It's a matter of truth and lie. Can you tell the difference between the truth that America was hijacked by corporations and the British never left? They just found a different way to control and take over our country and our people? That's true. Are you able to even discern that truth from the lie when that same one who has brought forward this one truth brings forward these lies about Esau and Jacob and, oh God, anything at all in the Bible to keep the weak in faith from actually stepping forward and being the chosen that they are? They're just called. Because as soon as things get tough, you run the other way. Oh, it must be God's will. If God brings it to you, it's for a reason. If you're hearing this message, or God has brought this message to you by any other means and you reject it, guess what? You reject the message of the Lord. God, we have a promise all over in the Word that God will not bring us things that we cannot get through. Do you think if God's going to keep bringing you things to make you stumble? And if you can't tell the difference between a lie and a truth, how are you going to even know if what's brought to you is true or a lie? Figure it out. Cast out these demons of offense. Get the offendedness out of your soul, because I don't know where, maybe I will pause and look for it, where it says, those whose souls can be offended, Torah is not written in them. And it's Torah written in our heart. That is the new covenant. That's the evidence of the new covenant. If you don't have the evidence in you, you are not in covenant. No matter how much you convince yourself that you are, you're not. Does it mean that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater and refuse to look and see what's going on? I'll tell you what, right now, with the writings that are coming out, who are being called to return and take back our birthright here in America, those who hate Jacob are being called out right now. When are those who love and support and defend Jacob for what he did, because he preserved literally the heritage of both? When are those of us going to stand up, step and step into our heritage and take back the governing of the people? Are you going to just allow the Esau lovers to do so? Because I'll tell you right now, those Esau lovers are not going to allow you, the Jacob lover, to remain. And that, my dear friends and loved ones, is literally the end of the 6,000-year tribulation, or 6,000 years of man, and the final tribulation. If you come across this information, and this information is told you, and you still do nothing, you are as guilty as the Israelites who turned their back on their heritage, their birthright, and chose to want to go back or to Egypt or stay in the wilderness. You will not move forward into your inheritance, your spiritual inheritance. Because if you think about it, what is mankind's inheritance? To return to that place from which we came. You will not receive your inheritance if you throw your birthright away. If you believe the Anunnaki and follow and do exactly what they want. When are you, as a believer, a Christian, a follower of God, going to stand up and say, I will not be controlled or manipulated by the ramblings, especially the ramblings of the fallen angels? Figure it out, people. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank, arose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. He gave it up. I think every descendant of Esau should be happy that Jacob got it. Because if Jacob wasn't there, you could be a German today. You might be Russian. You could be Chinese, who knows? But you would not be the descendants of Esau how you are right now. You would not be the descendants of Jacob as you are right now. You go on, I hear the argument, let's pull it on further, that Jacob deceived Laban. Who was the deceiver? Really? Think about it. He married Leah because he was deceived into doing so by Laban. Did Jacob deceive? No. Well, let's take another one on here really quick. When it came to how Jacob gained his wealth from his father-in-law Laban. Did he really steal all that, which is what's claimed in a lot of places? Really? Seriously? Jacob can control natural law, cause and effect? I don't think so. Figure it out. It is whatever power that controls natural law that caused that to happen. That's the true God. Because you know what? Even Satan, the God of this world, can't do that. He'll do a little signs and wonders that he's allowed to do in the last days now. But if you have enough knowledge of that, you'll know not to believe that lie either. But if you can't even distinguish between the truth and the lie here, what makes you think you're going to even notice that as the lie? And not just fall right into it like everybody else. Jacob did not steal. He was not deceitful or deceptive. His brother was a dumbass, pardon my French, who did not honor his birthright. In fact, it says he despised it. He would have given it away to anybody. Jacob went into a marriage. He could have rejected Leah. Do you know where that would have left Leah? Seriously. Same place that, what was it? Judah's, daughter-in-law. I was just doing a study on her. I can't remember her name. But Judah's daughter-in-law that he impregnated with and formed twins. She lived her whole life alone without any man. That's the life that Leah would have gotten if Jacob had rejected her for Rachel. He honored that woman. He did right by her by keeping her. He did not want to see her be alone for the rest of her life, which is what would have happened as long as he'd stayed alive. Think about that. Figure that out, people. Don't fall for the lies of the fallen angels, the Anunnaki that have returned today and that are in positions of leadership, that are telling you a bunch of truths and then throwing some lies in there to really trip you up. Because I'll tell you one thing right now, their main goal is to make sure that as few people as they can possibly manage will be receiving the Lord when he returns. All they have to do is cause a little bit of doubt inside of you, cause you to be offended on the slightest, littlest way, and boom, they got you. And when the Lord returns, you will not go to the land. You will not go with him. You will not be among those who return with him because you had no faith. And faithlessness, as we know, is as lawlessness. It is not respected. God does not honor that, as he did not honor that with the Israelites in the wilderness, who were afraid of not just the Anunnaki, but the descendants of them. Come on, you guys. I know you've got it in you to pull your heads out, to stand up and to act like the chosen if you believe you're the chosen. Otherwise, you're just called. You know what? If you're just called, you're not worth the time spent on if you accept that you're just called. But you believe you're chosen, step up and act like the chosen. Fight back. Don't be afraid. Your God will give you success if you believe it. If you don't, it'll be very clear and you will not have success. And don't be an idiot who thinks that material gain and material things are what we're supposed to look at as the outward evidence of the inward man. No, it's not. It's mammon. You worship mammon if that's what you think about your brother or your sister who may not have all of the material wealth that you've got. Is it really a blessing if it's actually keeping you from having enough faith to even risk it? I've had people who claim to be pastors and leaders in leadership to my face say, "You want me to lose like you?" No, I want you to have faith like me. If you really believe that God's going to take stuff away from you if you step into your calling, you got bigger problems than what I can help with. I expect you to lose everything for the sake of your God and your faith. Yes, I do. And so does your Father in heaven. Faithlessness says, "Oh no, I can't do that." But faith says, "Bring it on. I know my Father, and I know he has plans for only good for me." So let's get back to this Jacob. The power of heaven and earth arranged his life in such a way that he was able to gain. Go read the story. Every time Laban changed the rules, guess what? God changed what was going on in the fields. So that when Jacob was to get the ones that were spotted and blemished, all of a sudden natural law kicked in and most of the herds were born blemished. And then when Jacob's possessions were to change and to be something else, God changed natural law. Figure it out. Satan, the devil, the Anunnaki, the aliens coming, they can't do that. Only the true, real real creator of heaven and earth can do that because they manage natural law. In fact, Yeshua HaMashiach, one of very few, in fact, him and Lazarus died 3 days, defied death. Now, Lazarus was called out by the one who has the ability and the power to be able to do this. But he died. He still died in his lifetime. However, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, did not. He did not return and then die again. He is still alive, up in heaven, and getting ready to return. He defied natural law. You've got to put that in the place where it belongs. No other man came along and showed that he has the power over the heavens to do his will, which was good for everyone. There was no other that did that. It was that act that claimed the final nail in the coffin and took authority over life and death, so that no more did death have the authority to reign over people, but now we can live through and by Christ himself, Yeshua, Jesus. He did that. He went down to hell and took the keys of death and hell back, away from the authority, away from he who had it for 6,000 years. Oh, no. Sorry, at that point it was like, 3? So whatever. You know my point. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't always get everything right. But I know who I am. And I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Are you going to be afraid? Are you going to be so afraid of your future that you're going to give up your birthright? Step up, American believers, because if you don't step up and overcome your fear of the fallen angel, guess what? Those who are like the Esau's are going to. And they are not going to deal with you well. And so then the end will come for the believers just as it is said. In fact, you know what? Revelation tells us this is not going to happen. So I'm probably just preaching to the choir here. Don't be afraid of the fallen. Don't fall for their alien deception. I know you're better than that. We all know the truth. Fear will cause us to run away. Anyway, I'm done with my little commentary because this was nothing to do with the Torah portion of what we're doing now or anything like that. This is just my commentary. I read an article today that was just as blasphemous as it gets. And you've got to be able to distinguish what is truth and what is lie. It's called discernment, and we all have it. If you ain't got it, well, guess what? I don't know who your God is. I really don't. It tells us in 1 John 4, 1 through 3, to test the spirits. Spirits speak to us. They whisper thoughts into our head. If you don't think so, I think it's 2 Kings 22, 19 through 22. Go read it. Yeah, they do. Do you think that when we were given this 1 John 4, 1 through 3, that they had no knowledge of that particular case? I bet they did. And if you don't think I'm telling you the truth, go to the Torah portion called Kititze. In the first 2 paragraphs, I want you to translate that for yourself in the Hebrew. You may, if the Lord God reveals and removes the veil from your eyes, you may see that is the foundation, only in the Hebrew, of the concept that Yeshua gave us, that speck you see in your brother's eye is a log in your own. Where do you think that came from? But if you read it in the English, you know what? You're not going to get that comprehension. It's so far from it. Just in the non-spiritual comprehension of that, you're just not going to get it. So there's again, just a commentary. I'm absolutely disgusted with believers because they read something that offends them and they walk away. Throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. They will give up their birthright because of the offense in their heart. without recognizing they're only offended in their heart because they have a spirit of offense that allows them to be offended. In fact, they run around offending others all the time, not even recognizing it. Operating in a spirit of discord. How do you know you got a spirit of discord? It's not hard. They talk like this. Well, I agree with so-and-so, and I disagree with that. Bam! Right there. Real easy. Don't have a spirit of discord in you. You end up coming off more like, well, have you considered this? Often you're going to find that you say, the sky is blue, and they come off with, well, I disagree. I think the grass is green. It's like it has nothing to do with the blue sky that I was talking about. Why are we suddenly on the green grass? And you're disagreeing. That's a spirit of discord. You can recognize it other ways too. But I'm just letting you know, we've got to be able to discern in our day and test the spirit. 1 John 4, 1 through 3, test it the same way. There's a question. You got to ask the spirit that's whispering the thought into your mind or somebody else's. What is that? What's the $1 million? What's the golden question? You ask that spirit if Jesus is the Messiah that came to earth. And depending upon the answer that you get back, whether it's whispered a thought in your head, yes or no, depending on the answer, you can tell what spirit's dropping those thoughts. Come on, guys, this isn't hard. Anyway, love you all. Had to just get this little bit out because I don't want us being stupid and giving up our birthright like Esau. Anyway, God bless y'all. Think about this. Go back over it again if you have to. Love you. Bye.